So there's so many jobs around the world, and most of these jobs honestly require human interaction, attention, and focus. And to be honest, sometimes jobs can be very stressful, hectic, and chaotic because most of our times jobs take a lot of time of our hands. So, yeah, just imagine going into work every single day, working your butt off, just like your coworker. You guys do the same amount of work, and y'all always do your best. But the difference is, your friend is a man and you're a woman. In today's speech, I'm going to really try to dig deep about inequalities of gender wage gaps. Gender wage gaps honestly start off, of course, with sex, because sometimes you have females who are underpaid and men who are overpaid for the same roles and positions that these people have. One thing I just don't quite understand is, why is there a wage gap to begin with? There's been so many articles, so many stories that have covered these situations and these scenarios where women are getting paid way less than men. Honestly, to me personally, I feel like this is a disadvantage for women, because if they want to get ahead in life, they have to work a little harder just for them to make the same ends meet as your counterpart men. As myself, as a man, I have experienced this situation happen to my female coworkers. Here's a story. Briefly, I was working at Burger King when I was the age of, I want to say, 15, roughly around that age, 16 or so, can't quite remember, but I was around that age, and I had a disturbing information told to me by my previous manager of the time. And the manager had stated that he felt, well, they're women, and they're especially women of color, so I personally feel like they should be getting paid less than you because you're a man and we're both men, and we understand each other and we get each other more than females. And females, they complain, they're always tired, and they always calling out, especially women of color, he said. And the thing was, for me at the time, I was so young, I was underage, and I didn't understand the message behind it, but it had to deal with a lot of racial inequalities and, of course, gender inequalities as well. Once I had disclosed this information to my coworkers, they were distraught and very upset, and they had that feeling before even me starting working there. So here I am, starting my first job ever, and I'm so young, not realizing that there's biases going on here towards women, and there's race as well. So all of this misconstrued situation and scenario happening all in one, I'm just like, whoa, this is really disturbing. This is very upsetting. And honestly, it's like incorrect. I feel like it's ethically incorrect and immoral for a manager to, one, state those feelings, and two, to feel the need to want to give these women less than me because of the fact that I'm a man and they're a female. So for every dollar a man makes, a woman makes cents. So pretty much I can make $1, and a woman next to me, say, starting off with a white woman, she would probably make 75 cents, and a woman of color would probably most definitely make at least roughly 50 to 40 cents, and that's less than a white woman. For some reason, race and gender inequality happens when it comes to these wage gaps. One, because we live in a world where basically everything's all about race, especially in the United States, everything's about race. So when you're speaking about, wage gender equality, is it just about just gender equality, or is it just more about intercultural norms and what people think is acceptable for our societies? So in the studies that I was reading, the reason why women get paid less is one factor. Women are the ones that end up becoming caregivers for their children. So once you have a family and you decide to, branch your tree into more leaves or whatever you want to make it into, you tend to have to pay the price as a woman to either give up your job and become this new mother and caregiver for your child. And most of the times, females don't have this choice because they end up getting married and their husbands, want children. And in fact, men end up getting paid more because of these reasons, or 3 months of maternity leave for them to go off work, whereas women, they do. In different parts of the world, like say, for example, India, you have the rural and urban areas of India, of course. Males roughly make wages of, let's say, $327, and females will end up making $2.04. That's $1.23 difference from each other. It might not seem much because there's such low numbers, but when you're actually working your butt off, put it in the same hours, that extra $1.20 do matter to those females because that's more resources for them to provide for their families or whoever they're with at the moment, or within themselves as well. So having to cut that off from women and taking it to a smaller, minuscule, wage, it's just messed up. And honestly, it's unnecessary because end of the day, if a woman does choose to have children, she shouldn't be penalized for having children and then getting paid less for those reasons. Many times we foresee and go on with our daily lives, not knowing that these situations occur in our daily lives. I myself, before this, research, I did not know that women still to this day get paid less because of the dues of what happens in life. It's just natural. Women are always going to bear children, and women are always going to be the ones to, end up taking care of children because of the fact that they're mothers. Now, that's not always the case. Sometimes men do want to become caregivers themselves, but it just turns out that society feels the need to pay men more overall with women. And it just comes to a lot of inequalities. Women for centuries been trying to fight for equalities just to be equal as men. They've been doing it since the 50s and the 60s. Back in those days, they'd see women as objects, as second class. Women were never had the rights to vote. Women stayed home. Women became these trophy wives, and women throughout the world were always expected to come after the man. The man has always been the ruler of the house, the one who provides, the one that brings, and the women are the one that takes and become caregivers for their families. So now in today's society, we still have these issues where women are just not being seen as equal. We still haven't had a president female in the United States and throughout the world as well. And social norms of this situation happening is that people just don't want to give. Men don't want to feel less powerful next to a woman. Some men honestly just feel like they have to be in charge, or else it just deflates their egos. And that's when it comes down to. Men just don't like the fact that women can be in power or be in charge of others or a country or a nation, or even so a company.